What's going on, everybody? Welcome into Blazers Uprise Live, presented by Bet Online. We're back! Right in time, Eric, for the snow take. We're going to talk about how Dame and Jeremy Grant are not playing tonight because the Blazers had a whole debacle with a plane that they sat on for 7 hours, filmed a freestyle on, but didn't take off the runway last night. So we're going to talk about that whole situation, this game tonight that the Blazers are going in as 10.5-point underdogs. And, of course, we have picks against the spread back after, it's been light. We didn't stream Monday, no games Monday, and the trade deadline the week before. I think we missed that day, too. So, it's been light in terms of picks against the spread. But ready to get into the stretch run. Eric, how was your break, and how was the snow?
Break was really good. It's cool to see Dame win the three-point contest and play well in the All-Star game, including hitting another All-Star game winning three-pointer. Snow, got about 10 inches of snow out there, still all there. Kind of weird to have it all stay around for a full day, because usually it snows and then it's gone within a few hours recently. So yeah, it's kind of cool. It's a lot better than the ice storm we had around Christmas.
Yeah, the ice storm was lame. It's crazy how different things can be with where you're at and where I'm at. My streets are pretty much dry and no ice, no snow, and it just gets worse as you get out into Oregon. So, they canceled my rec league tonight. I'm a little disappointed about that. Instead, I get to watch the Blazers take on the Kings without their top 4 players, which we will talk about. But first, let's jump into the standings for picks against the spread. Once again, picks against the spread is brought to you by Bet Online. Use that promo code BELIEVE for a 50% bonus. Live betting, parlays, all that fun stuff. Baseball season's going to start soon if you want to make baseball entertaining. Anyway, NBA season still, of course. Stretch run coming up, which should be fun to watch.
Yep.
And here are the standings. Connor's up top. He's been on a roll. What was he the day before last? Wasn't he like 8-1 and then he's 4-0? So isn't he like 12-1 in his last 2 episodes?
I don't remember because he had taken over one and then he lost it and then I don't remember. But he copied Jackson's picks the other day, so.
He copied Aeromancer's picks the day before, went like 8-1, and then Aeromancer and Connor, instead of agreeing on everything, disagreed on everything, and it didn't work out for Aeromancer, who was 0-4. Tough day for Aero as he's trying to fight his way back from the bottom. I mean, Arrow's been fine since he had a terrible start and he was new, and he's been fine since then. It's just hard to dig yourself out of that hole. So he's figured things out a little bit, but a tough day for him. A week ago, everybody else still within 10 games. Chat, you guys are 3 games back. Chat, you guys can take the lead.
I'm still salty about my double down from a week ago, or a week and a half ago now.
Which game was that? What happened?
Oh, it was the Washington, Minnesota game, and I doubled down on Minnesota. Connor and Jackson both doubled down on Washington, and Minnesota had a 20-point lead in the second half and ended up losing by like 8.
Good old Timberwolves, man.
Yeah.
They do not hang on to leads. That was a problem in the playoffs last year. So
otherwise, these standings might be even better.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, you could still hypothetically take the lead today, Eric.
Yeah.
9 games of action today. So let's see. Let's see what happens. All right, game number 1. You got the Indiana Pacers hosting the Boston Celtics. Boston is an 8-point road favorite.
All right, so the Celtics only have, of course, Danilo Gallinari out for this one, and the Pacers have no one listed on their injury report. So this is actually going to be a pretty light injury report outside of a couple teams.
So you're saying I have to type fast. Okay.
And I think you'll be able to figure out what these teams are doing, the ones that do have lengthy injury reports. The Pistons and Spurs and Blazers.
All right, I'm gonna go with the Pacers. Just give me the points on that.
I'm also going to take the Pacers. Aeromancer Jackson are on Boston. Let's watch chat's percentage just dip.
Connor said, "I managed to get home in the snow last night. Fortunately, congrats, Connor." And he's also going with the Pacers.
What's up, Ish? Zach's going Boston.
Cool.
So we're missing Trevin.
Trevin again. Who'd Aeromancer go with? Oh, I accidentally put Chats up instead of Aeromancers. Whoops. I mean, Chat's going to go Celtics anyway. Aeromancer went Celtics. Chat ends up going Celtics. Trevin ends up going MIA for the second episode in a row.
Hold on a second.
Oh, there he is, Boston. Oh. There he is, right slightly after the buzzer. All right, so Miu, Connor going with the Pacers. Everybody else going Celtics. Game number 2, you got the Orlando Magic hosting the Detroit Pistons, and Orlando is a 7.5-point home favorite.
All right, the Pistons are without Cade Cunningham and Nerlens Noel. Let me just see if Bagley is out or not. Marvin Bagley was listed as doubtful. I don't think there's going to be an update on him. He's not in the starting lineup, so just assume he's not. Oh, he's out. Okay, there we go. And then RJ Hampton was signed yesterday. I don't think he's going to play tonight, but there's a possibility he could suit up.
Against the team that released him.
And the Magic have no one listed on their injury report.
That's crazy. The Magic have been a team for the longest time that has had real lengthy injury reports, and now it's just not the case anymore.
Yeah. Jackson's going Magic. Trevin Magic.
I'm going Magic.
Tory Magic.
I always go Magic, I feel like. Yeah. I feel like the Magic are my team.
I'm going to take the Pistons.
All right.
James Wiseman's going to lead them to victory.
All right.
Aeromancer is Magic.
And we need Connor and Zach. Chat, it looks like, is going with the Magic. Zach and Connor, they were both here. Alright, Pistons for Zach, ruining your island. You don't get no islands, it's too snowy out for that.
Didn't really feel like doubling down on the Pistons anyway, so.
Magic for Connor. Alright, Eric and Zach together on the Pistons, everybody else Magic. Game 3, you got the Phoenix Suns hosting the Clippers, and the Suns are a 1-point home favorite. So this is basically a pick'em.
Alright. Wait, what? Did you say the Suns?
The Suns are a 1-point home favorite.
The Suns don't play today.
What? Did I not update this graphic?
I'm so confused.
Okay. Yeah. That was supposed to be game 3. Was the Cavs and Nuggets. Yeah. Okay. Cleveland is a 2.5-point favorite as they take on the Denver Nuggets at home.
Yeah.
I bet I made, if Gabe's watching this, I bet I made Gabe panic. Like, wait, what? We have a game.
Funny. The Nuggets are without Aaron Gordon and Zeke Naji. The Cavaliers are without Ricky Rubio.
All right, there's the poll.
All right, Aeromancer is taking the Nuggets. I'm
going Cavs.
Jackson is going Cavs with you. I'm also going to take the Cavs. Zach says Cavs have never let me down,
Okay, he's going Cavs. Trevin and Connor.
but I'm waiting for the follow-up that
Nuggets.
says, but
I'm
I'm
not letting
going.
him.
I'm going to take the Nuggets.
Yeah, that'd be such a Zach thing. Connor's going Nuggets. Zach's goes Cavs. All right. Whenever I see something like that, I just assume that's what they're rolling with, then. And they can't blame me. All right, chat is going with the Nuggets. 51% of the vote. Split vote. Me, Eric, Zach Jackson versus Trevin, Connor, Aeromancer, chat. Game 4. Nope, that's not right either. I updated all of these. What in the world? All right. Oh, it's because I'm showing two. I have two files on. Why do I have two files? Let me delete that. That's strange. All right. Philadelphia is hosting the Memphis Grizzlies. Philadelphia is a 3-point home favorite.
All right, so the Grizzlies are without Steven Adams, and the newly acquired Luke Kennard is sitting this one out with an illness. 76ers without Dwayne Dedman, who's questionable. I guess he's not for sure out. And then Joel Embiid is listed as probable. Did not go through shoot-around this morning, but is expected to play. But there's just to warn you, there's a slight chance he does not.
Okay.
Jackson is going Grizzlies. Zach is going 76ers. I'm going to go Sixers as well.
Who was the first person you said?
Jackson, Grizzlies.
Okay.
Zach and me, 76ers. Sorry, grammar police, Zach and I. Get that one guy.
yeah. Sixers for Cotter.
Aeromancer, Sixers as well. Trevin's Grizzlies.
Trevin's Grizzlies. You went Sixers. Oh no, that's not showing. I'm also going to. Tough. I'm going with the Grizzlies. Chat's going with the Sixers. All right, so me, Trevin Jackson versus everyone else. All right, Game 5, we got the Raptors hosting the Pelicans. Toronto's a 6-point home favorite.
The Pelicans are still without Zion, and Dyson Daniels is also ruled out of this one. The Raptors only have Otto Porter Jr., who's out for the season, out for this one. I'm just going to take the points on this one and take the Pellies. Trevin is Pellies too. Zach and Jackson are Raptors.
I'm Raptors as well. You went Pelicans and who else?
Trevin is Pelicans.
Okay. Aeromancer went Pelicans. Connor is going with Chat's Pelicans. Connor is something. Dude, I really need to have a Jeopardy music queued up, although I don't know if I get copyright claimed for that. I feel like that should be something that isn't copyright claimable.
Yeah.
Because it's
just like a universal waiting for time.
Exactly, yeah. Yeah, so we got a split vote. That's cool. Me, Zach, Jackson, Connor versus Eric, Trevin, Arrow, chat. Game 6. Yes, game 6. You got Dallas hosting the Spurs. Biggest spread of the day is Dallas is 14-point home favorites.
All right, that's because the Spurs are without Devin Vassell, Romeo Langford, Kem Birch, Isaiah Roby, Trey Jones doubtful, Jeremy Sohan questionable. The Mavericks are just without Davis Bertans and Maxi Kleber.
So do they win by 15 or more, though?
Yeah, I don't know.
So who do the Spurs have?
Zach Collins.
Yeah. Luka Stopper.
They got the rookie Malachi.
I'm taking the Mavs. I don't like taking the favorite here, but I don't even know who San Antonio has for a starting lineup, so.
Connor, Zach, and Eric all are on the Spurs. I believe Aeromancer is, because he says, I believe in Malachi Branham. Okay, yeah, he said Spurs above that. Okay. And then you, Trevin Jackson.
And Chat. Almost brought it back for the Spurs, but you know they like their favorites. So it's another split vote. Lots of split votes. It's going to be real interesting to see our records from today. All right. What's up?
That's their third underdog. Or no, they have two underdogs.
What do you mean that's their third? They picked Dallas.
Yeah. I mean, I was going to say it would have been their third. It was not like they haven't done it.
Yeah. They got two. Good on them. Good job, Chat. Utah's hosting the Thunder. I have finally introduced the ugly yellow and black logo for the Jazz. They are 1-point home favorites.
All right, the Thunder are without Alexei Pokusevsky, Chet Holmgren, and Ojman Jang. Jazz are without Colin Sexton. They recently signed Frank Jackson and Chris Dunn. I'm not sure if either are available for their tank.
I didn't hear any of that, dang.
Poku is really the only one out for the Thunder that you didn't already know about. Cool. And Colin Sexton for the Jazz, basically.
All right, cool.
I'm going to go with the Thunder. So is Arrow. Jackson is Jazz. Trevin, Thunder. Arcade Z says Blazer legend Christopher Dunn.
I don't know. Let me meditate on it for 5 seconds.
Okay.
Thunder come back in the fourth quarter and win. So
Zach is calling a push on this one, so the Jazz are going to win by 1 point.
Well, so I guess I'm going to OKC. Connor went Jazz and Chat went Thunder. This might be Chat's double down. All right. Connor and Jackson with the Jazz. They're first and second place. Everybody else trying to catch up going Thunder. Game number 8, you got the Lakers hosting the Warriors in a Battle of California. The Lakers are 6-point home favorites.
Warriors are, of course, without Steph Curry for another week. Gary Payton II is out. Andrew Wiggins and Andre Iguodala also out of this one. The Lakers have LeBron and Anthony Davis listed as probable. No one else on their injury report.
I hate this spread as well. I also need to fix my webcam. There.
I'm going to take the Warriors. Or not the Warriors. I'm going to take Lakers, sorry. I wrote Lakers down, but Jackson, Trevin are Lakers.
Oh, man.
Arrow's taking Warriors.
Okay, I'm going to have to... Jordan Poole's going to have a big game. That's the only thing I saw, so I'm gonna go with the Warriors. And Zach is going with...
Can you change mine to Lakers?
Oh, yeah.
Thanks.
Waiting on Zach, waiting on Connor. Chad is going with the
Zach
Warriors.
is Lakers.
Alright, Zach is Lakers. Chat is Warriors. And this could be a split vote depending on what Connor goes with. He goes with the Warriors. It is another split vote. This is maybe the most split votes we've ever had. And now for the fun one. The snow-tanking Trailblazers are headed into Sacramento. Sacramento is a 10.5-point home favorite.
All right, so let's just get the Kings out of the way first, even though they're the home team. They are without KZ Okpala tonight. The Blazers, they originally listed Anthony Simons, Yusuf Nurkic, Justice Winslow, and Ibu Baji as out for this one, but have since added Damian Lillard and Jeremy Grant due to the stress of sitting on an airplane and resting for this game. As out, yeah. So
they have 2 more days off after this. They just had 7, 8 days off, whatever. Yeah, 7, I don't know. And they... Shout out Rip City Brady for the $5 dono. Says, hope y'all staying safe with that crazy weather. Go Blazers. Hashtag tank season. Hashtag Wemby season. What's up, Tori? What's up, Eric? Thanks for covering this team. Thank you, Brady, for donating. Appreciate you.
Thanks, Brady. What's up?
And those hashtags might become more prevalent if this is the route that the Blazers are going to go.
I'm going Kings. Jackson, Zach, Trevin, all Kings.
Oh, I haven't put the logos in yet. Hold on. Okay, home is the Kings, and that was you, Jackson, Trevin, and who?
Zach.
And me. And then...
Aeromancer as well.
Yep, chat's going Kings. And Connor's stream is behind. He needs to fast forward it.
Connor's going Blazers.
Yep, I figured somebody would step up and take them. All right, double downs. Let me go back through these picks. That's tied to the... God, I gotta untie these picks from this scene. They're like stuck together.
The chats was the Thunder.
Okay.
Jackson and myself are going Kings.
Okay. You and who?
Jackson are going Kings.
Okay.
Chat was Thunder. Zach is going Kings as well. Aeromancers is on the Orlando Magic. You got a dub in Fall Guys last night?
Yep. With Gabe. We got runner up like 6 times in a row. It was thrilling. All right, there's Orlando. And then you said, who am I missing?
Trevin is also going OKC.
Trevin's going OKC. All right.
With Chat.
And Chat's OKC.
And that leaves, of course, Connor.
And me. I don't know what I want to do.
Connor is doubling down on the Portland Trail Blazers.
Connor wants to give up his lead. I'm gonna double down on the Pacers.
Okay. Nice.
Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum are going to be tired from the All-Star game, so
Did they have to sit for a few hours in the snow too?
maybe, hopefully. Yeah, hopefully it's cold up there in Indiana. All right, there we go. That's picks against the spread. Once again, if you want to get in on any of those spreads, use the promo code BELIEVE, BLEAV, with betonline.ag. Okay, so Snow Tank is in. I had fun making the thumbnail, chat. Because, Eric, what does this say to you? Does this say, like, oh, they're legitimately worried with the players not being able to go through their daily routine and then going out there and playing heavy minutes, and that's, scary or whatever for injuries and blah, 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 blah. Or is this just like, oh, we have an excuse to rest our best two players?
Well, I mean, I see why people would think it's it's because of the snow, really, and they didn't really have a choice, and they're just doing that. But to me, there's 24 games left. We are currently the 12th seed. We don't have the option of just giving up games. So if Dame is truly dedicated to going on the run and doing whatever it takes to make the playoffs this year, I just don't see how you could tell him, oh no, you're not going to play because of the snow and getting there late. Like, to me, if they were serious about it, he would be all in on going, especially since they don't play until Sunday after this game. So it's not like we have a back-to-back or something and we need to rest, so they can rest the next 2 days. Outside of the All-Star festivities, they've had several days off. Grant's been off for over 2 weeks now because he was out the last couple games before the break. So to me, yeah, this seems like a situation where they've been wanting to tank, and I think the moves at the deadline kind of signify that. Despite the people that think we actually got better at the deadline, we did not. So
yeah,
I think that was the first clear indication. And but now they can't just sit Dame and Jeremy without like a significant injury or something, or like some sort of injury. So I think this gave them the perfect opportunity to rest them without actually committing or saying that they're tanking. And I expect them both to play Sunday, so it's not like they're going to fully just sit out the rest of the season. They can't really do that without an injury. But the slightest little tweak or anything happens in the next couple weeks with Dame or Jeremy, don't be surprised if they're just pulled. And then from that point, you just say, oh, Ant's not fully recovered and he's out the rest of the season.
Yeah.
And then Nurk's calf strain takes a couple more weeks than they thought it was going to be. And so it's very easy to see a path towards full-on tanking without them actually admitting it. But yeah, I don't think this was them like admitting they're tanking fully. They're trying to still hide behind the fact that they're going for it. But I mean, I just don't understand how a team that absolutely needs to win games right now can afford to give up a game in the standings at this point and expect to go on a run. It's still possible. Dame could still do it. Like, maybe he just thinks that's the case, but the margin for error is like so small, and they keep making it harder for themselves between having a worse roster now and now, giving up a game. I don't see Dame sitting this one out. And to me, the only good thing about it is if Dame was willing to sit this one out, I think we can maybe start to think that he understands as well the value of possibly not making the playoffs versus working your butt off to make the playoffs here at the end.
Here's what I think. I feel like he thinks that they're going to be a major possibility for a major player. I don't know who that player is, but that's just the vibe I'm getting.
He posted.
If I had to guess, it would be Embiid, because right now there's rumors that Harden's going to go back to Houston for some reason. Mm-hmm. Basically, as a Blazer fan, you're probably rooting for the 76ers to fall apart.
Yeah.
You're probably rooting for them to fall apart.
Leave, yeah.
Because if they fall apart, then Harden leaves, then at that point, I mean, if they can't make a run with him and then Harden leaves for nothing, how are they ever going to contend? They don't have a ton of assets or anything. So then it becomes, okay, you're rebuilding around Tyrese Maxey and they're going through the process again. If Harden leaves, I could see Joel Embiid potentially wanting out, but I could see it being like a situation where Philadelphia is willing to trade him where he wants to go or work with him if that package is obviously good enough. So if Dame's cool with this, that says to me that he understands that that pick being higher, Portland's first-round draft pick being higher, gives the Blazers potentially a better chance to trade for Joel Embiid and then either have assets left over, or if that pick is high enough, Eric, potentially keep Shaedon Sharpe in the deal. Because if you're talking about, I don't know, the 7th pick, the 6th, 7th pick, the Knicks pick, 3 future firsts after you unprotect Chicago's pick, and then Anthony Simons, who's 23 and averaging an efficient 21-4, I mean, that's a pretty dang good trade package. Starting off in a loaded draft with like the 7th and 20th picks or whatever. But that's the thing, is that lottery pick would have to get high enough where you would be able to try and keep Sharpe. You know what I mean? Because it's likely going to take Sharpe, but that's my kind of thing, is like, how high does that pick have to get for the Blazers to keep Sharpe in that deal? Maybe it has to jump into the top 4. Obviously, the worse the Blazers do, the more it jumps into the top 4. So if you're pitching that to Dame, like, if we lose, the good thing is we could maybe swing this deal, then maybe. But this is all hypothetical and completely, like, just... like, none of this is necessarily true or false or anything. I'm just completely speculating.
In my opinion, you have to give up a monster package for Embiid. So unless we're top 2, I think it's going to be both Sharpe and Ant, unfortunately.
I think you could have the conversation if it's top 4.
Yeah, maybe.
Or 5. I mean, this draft is supposedly loaded, right?
It depends on how Morey feels about, like, Amen, I guess. Yeah. But definitely, I mean, so hypothetical then, if we got the first pick, would you trade it for Embiid? Like, obviously we have to match salary, but I think
I think you would have to. I mean, he's averaging 33 and 10. You're hoping that Wemby, you're hoping that Wemby can be that guy. I mean, Wemby could go down as a top 5 player of all time. Mm-hmm. That's the risk you're taking. He could go down as Wemby has the upside of a player I've never seen coming into the draft. I wasn't around when LeBron was coming into the draft. But even then, if you had LeBron back then versus Wemby now, who do you think would be the number 1 pick? It would be a debate. You know what I mean? Without knowing what LeBron obviously ends up becoming as an NBA player. But he's basically on par with LeBron as a prospect because he's 7'4". Even if his offense isn't as good, he's has a chance to be the best defensive player in the league, but then offensively he has a chance to be the most unguardable guy in the league. Like, Wemby is truly that prospect. So it's tough. It's tough because it's like, could you win could Wemby and Sharp and Ant get good enough to help Dame win, Grant, whatever, and do they have the pieces left over to help Dame potentially win a championship in, 3-4 years? And then obviously you potentially have a dynasty after that with all the upside you have on the team. Is that worth giving up for Embiid when you don't know if you're going to win?
But you also know Embiid is a legit top 5 player, and Wemby still has I don't think Wemby will bust, but he's not guaranteed to ever be a top 10 player. So, yeah, I don't know. That's a tough one.
I mean,
I'm old enough to remember all these same conversations in 2007.
About who?
Where apparently we got offered a first-team All-NBA player. I believe it was Kevin Garnett, but I'm not 100% sure on that because it never came out. But and the Blazers decided to keep the pick and take Odin. It's. I mean. Odin plays 82 games in his career in Portland in 4 years, and I'm not saying Wemby's going to be like that at all. It's just it's so tough. If Giannis or Embiid are on the table, I think you almost have to just take the guaranteed good player.
I don't know, man. I don't know. I feel like Wemby's guaranteed to be great at this point. The only thing that could hold him back is injuries, because as a rim protector, I see him being what Rudy Gobert was, but he's more agile and mobile than Rudy Gobert was, and he's better guarding the perimeter than Rudy Gobert was. I would be shocked if he doesn't win a Defensive Player of the Year. Because at 7'4", how quickly he can move, his instincts, everything on top of that, he is the best defensive prospect I've ever seen coming into the draft. It is not even, I don't even know if it's close. Even if he doesn't turn out to be anything offensively, he still could hypothetically be a top 20-ish player just because of what he does on the defensive end, and he'll obviously be able to dunk lobs. But, we know he can shoot, too. We know he can shoot. We know he can handle. I don't see how he does. I think he's as guaranteed to be a top 10 player at some point in his career as any player ever, and the only thing that could hold him back would be injuries.
Yeah. I mean, there is, as Kevin Reese mentions, there was a video today of him getting absolutely bullied in the post by a much worse player, but a bigger, stronger player.
Yeah, so that was the concern with KD coming into the draft, was he was too skinny.
Yeah. And there's also now an interview that came out where he didn't like playing center, and is he gonna be like AD in that regard, and LaMarcus when it comes to that? I'm not saying this.
I think it was that interview was more so, it seemed like when he played center, he was pigeonholed into a specific center role where he couldn't do as much on the perimeter, and it was more so about what he was able or allowed to do as the center compared to actually playing center.
But Dame would still be 33, so you'd think after this year he's still good for another couple of years. To put him with a MVP type guy like Embiid, that duo would be so good though. I don't know, it's such a hard question.
Reese says, OMG, 19-year-old player gets bullied by a bigger player where the dude shot 3 for 9 in the game and Wemby had 6 blocks. Yeah. But that's what's going to happen with Wemby, is there's going to be clips where people are trying to pick apart his game because he's such a good prospect.
Yeah, I wasn't trying to overreact to it.
Yeah. But that's the thing, is how good is Wemby? How soon is Wemby a top 10 player? I could see it happening in a season or two.
Yeah.
I could see it happening that quickly. It's tough, man. That's a tough, there's people that think that's an obvious decision. If you want to win with Dame, you do it. You absolutely do it. But dude, I could see Wemby being better than Embiid in 3 years. I could see Wemby being the best player in the league in 3 to 4 years. Oh man. And then after that, you have a whole window with, if Sharp becomes what he becomes, and you have Wemby and you have Ant, you have your big three set in stone for a decade.
And to me, that's better than McHale and Ayton or whatever Chris Paul and Booker had,
You got Sharp's athleticism and ability to, get vertical for boards, contest shots, in the future, this will obviously be better. But, his vertical explosiveness, you can throw him lobs seemingly 12 feet high and he'll catch them and throw them down. You have that at the shooting guard position, that physical just beast at the shooting guard position. And then if you have Wemby with his agility, fluidity, 7'5", man, that would be so tough to say no to. And I feel like whatever decision the Blazers make would end up being wrong there. Like, if we traded for Embiid would be injured and Wemby would be the top 5 player of all time. If we kept Wemby, then Wemby's going to get injured and we're going to regret it.
It's going to be like MVP that year, yeah.
Yeah, so...
That's so tough. Yeah, I think, so in my mind, I think there's 4, maybe 5 players you have to consider if they're on the table. I don't think 2 of those players I don't think those teams would be willing to trade them. So, like, that's Luka and Jokic. I don't think either of those teams trade those players to same conference. And then, we have same division with Wemby going to Denver and Jokic coming here. So, like, I don't think that would be on the table. But, I mean, I think you've got to consider that if that was an offer. And then, Giannis and Embiid. And then the only other person that I would maybe, like, not say immediately no to is maybe Tatum. But outside of that, it's like a non-conversational, unless it's one of those 5 guys. I'm not even thinking about it unless those,
So I think I already know the answer, but I'm wondering how close of a conversation this is. If you had on the table, say the Blazers win the number 1 pick in the lottery, and you had on the table Giannis and Embiid as options to trade that first overall pick for, which do you prioritize?
If Giannis or Embiid were on the table?
If both of them are available for...
I think I'm taking Giannis.
Yeah. I would too. I just wonder how close would it be for you? Like, is it easy, like some people in chat say, or is it close?
I think it's pretty easy. I think Giannis and Dame would... I mean, they'd both be really good, but... I mean, Giannis has had a few injury problems, but nothing as serious as Embiid.
Yes.
But, So, and I think he's, 2 years younger? How old is Giannis now? 27? 26, 27?
Embiid's almost 29. Giannis is...
28. Okay,
28.
So it's only a year.
Yeah, they're less than a year apart.
Yeah, okay. That's a little closer. I think you got to take Giannis.
I mean, you do have to take Giannis.
Yeah.
It's just...
I
feel like Embiid would potentially help the defense a little bit more at the center spot, being able to be that 5.
This is also why I'm pissed about not taking Wiseman, because now not only do we have to trade the number 1 pick, but we pretty much have to trade Anthony and Nurk and all those other salaries. You know what I mean? Like, we have to try to match salary too.
I mean, your best bet would be. I assume the Blazers would try and sign the number 1 overall pick and then trade him 30 days after his salary, but then that number 1 overall pick doesn't get to play in Summer League, and then that becomes a thing in the next CBA. The NBA is like, maybe we should not make teams wait 30 days to trade players after signing them. Like, they should be able to sign their rookie contract as part of a trade and have it count, or just not count at all for a longer period of time. Like, they need to, probably address that in the next CBA, but because you're looking at Nurkic at $16 million, and then Nas you probably lump in at another 6-7, that's 23, plus the first overall pick's like $10 million, that's 33, and then Keon, like you're getting into matching territory there without including Ant.
I just, because if the conversation is just trading Wemby straight up for one of those guys, that's one thing, but then when you start to include Ant and salary filler, then it's like, oh crap.
You don't trade Wemby plus Ant or Wemby plus Sharp for anybody in the league, in my opinion. If it becomes that, then you just go with like, oh well, we should have dynasty with our young core, at least a team that contends for a decade with our young core, and they'll be good enough soon enough to be able to do it with Dame. And Dame says he feels 27 years old, Eric. So Dame, I feel like, is going to be good for another 3-4 years. Like, I've been on the record when everybody's worried about Dame at one point or another. I've been the guy sitting here saying I'm not worried about Dame all the time. And people are like, oh, of course you're not worried about Dame. You don't criticize him enough. You're not realistic about him. You're too biased, blah, blah, blah. You're too much of a Dame lover. Like, I've heard it all. Right, when I've sat here saying, I'm not worried about Dame, he's in a shooting slump. I'm not worried about Dame until he shows decline over an entire season. I'm not worried about Dame, he's coming off a calf injury. I've been saying that the whole time. And, I'm still not worried about Dame because he's having his best season ever at 32. So I think you could take the long route, and I think it could potentially be the best option. Just an interesting debate. Fun debate to have if we tank, and then we end up getting the 8th pick and it doesn't matter,
okay.
but...
Right. Okay, so everyone's saying we're not getting Wemby or Scoot. One, I mean, that's not... I mean, we can't... Let's not... One, we're dealing with hypotheticals. Two,
yes,
there is a percentage chance, whether we make the playoffs or if we don't make the playoffs, there is a percentage chance we move into the top 4, no matter where we pick. And if the Blazers are, and Dame is seemingly okay with losing games from here on out, I mean, it would take a full-on tank to probably get up to 5th, but there's 3 teams below us, the Bulls, the Lakers, and one other team Toronto, that they didn't give up on the season. They're going for the playoffs. So we could easily fall below those 3 teams and be up into 7th. And then you just need one of those 2 teams to get hot, and we're right back to the same odds as last year when we were all talking about those odds last year. So, yeah, it could.
Because we were, 6th, and then we fell to 7th?
Yeah.
And Indiana, we're only 3 games out of 6 out of being exactly where we were last year. Right. Indiana's has the 6th best lottery odds. Yeah. I mean, they're 26 and 34 though. Like, they've struggled lately, but they've been a competitive team. They're not a team you just write off. Unfortunately, I doubled down on them today, and they're already down 8. But it's not looking like a good picks day for me so far, because Cleveland is struggling too. But
the teams backwards on the bottom is throwing me off.
Are they? What do you mean they're backwards?
Like the home team's on the left.
Are they?
Yeah.
Is it? That's strange.
At least it's updating, right? But there's always worked on this one, right?
Yeah. I need to figure that out. I was going to figure that out off the All-Star break, but I enjoyed having a bit of a break. And, I worked on some other things too, but it was nice to have a week off from streaming in YouTube and just reset a little bit. But, yeah, it is backwards. So I'll hit up my guy. But... if this team seriously tanks, this team could get to 6th, 7th best odds and have a 8 to 10% chance of winning.
I think there's a chance of getting there without seriously tanking. We're not getting into the top 4, but we could easily go 10 and 14 or something, even with trying the rest of the way. And Indiana just has to be a couple games better than that. We're only 3 games out of 5th or something. So I think, I mean, it's not just all out tanking. Like, they can kind of half tank. That's kind of the beauty of this year. And what I think is going on tonight, they don't have to fully tank to tank this year, I don't think. And it still doesn't show Dame that you're fully into oh no, we're giving up on the season. You can still let him try. But yeah, I think that's what it is. And it's because we're not getting to the top 4, but that doesn't matter. We still have a percentage chance, and the higher we get, the better our pick becomes. And even if we have the 7th pick, that's still a lot better, whether it's trade or picking someone, than losing our pick this year. Because I do want to talk about that. Or were you going to say something?
Yeah, I'm just going to say, there's a really thin line between being in the play-in and having the, 6th best odds in the lottery. There's only 3.5 games separating the 10th place team in the Western Conference, which, of course, plays in the play-in, and Indiana, who has the 6th best odds right now. There's only 3.5 games there. That's the as you said, the beauty of this season is no matter which way it goes, we could easily be in the play-in, or we could easily have 6th, 7th best odds. And it's not like we have to specifically even force anything or like play Dame 42 minutes in order to get into the play-in. I could see us getting there, playing him lesser minutes just because the West, there's a bunch of 500 teams there. Or I could see us fall into 6th if we rest Dame and Ant and Nurk don't return super quickly, that sort of thing. So that's how I'd want it to be. I don't want to have the 10th best odds and barely miss the play-in and only have the 10th best odds. I either want us to end up with the 6th, 7th best odds, or I want us to be in the play-in and trying to
get in. Yeah.
Yeah. Either one is better than being 10th, 11th. Mm-hmm. And there's a thin line there between, being 6th best odds and being in the play-in.
Crypto AK says y'all have so much faith in Cronin when he's taken 4 steps backwards since taking over. Is that directed at Tori and I? Because I know you're not new here, man. Like,
wait, what?
I don't want to speak for Tori, but I have no faith in Cronin in the future, and some of that might not be his fault. But I don't have any faith in him.
Dude, did you see the guy on Twitter that got mad at me for not supporting Dame enough?
Yeah, that was funny.
What? That's the thing. That's the two things I've been most consistent about is not trusting Cronin and supporting Dame. Mm-hmm. So I don't get it.
Yeah, and I just want to clarify something. This seems backwards, but I've seen this a lot. Like we need to make the playoffs so the pick conveys to the Bulls so we can trade our future picks, right? Okay. We don't make the playoffs. We have a lottery pick, the Knicks potential pick. We could either unprotect the Chicago pick or lightly protect it and then trade 3 future firsts on top of that. So that's 5 firsts we could do in a trade, say for Embiid or whoever, right?
Yeah.
So if we make the playoffs, we lose our pick this year. And then we have the Knicks pick still, and then we can trade 4 future firsts after the draft or whatever. So it's the same thing. Like, it doesn't free up any more picks. It just gives us, like, in my opinion, a lottery pick in this draft is way more valuable than freeing up a 2029 first or what, you know what I mean? So I don't think it matters. And then the Knicks pick freeing up our future picks, like I just said, doesn't really matter either, because we could still trade the same amount of picks, whether we have that or not. Where it could come into play is, if we didn't make a trade this summer, we kick the can down the road again till the trade deadline. That might be the case where we could trade 1 more first if we had it, but if you're just talking about this summer, having all those picks, but we'd also have 2 players who could potentially have more value than a first as well. So, in my opinion, you just draft 2 players, hope you hit it out of the park with at least one of them. If you hit on both of them, then you have either 2 good players or you have 2 very tradable assets there with actual salary that counts too during the season. So, I just don't get the line of thinking because it doesn't really free up more picks, in my opinion.
Basically, whichever way this team goes, it doesn't make a huge difference. Mm-hmm. What's going to make a difference is if we don't make the playoffs, can we get lucky in the lottery?
Well, to me,
and then what does that? Yeah. What doors does that open?
To me, because if we're talking about trading, let's say we made the playoffs and we have all our future picks. And we trade them like we're trying to get whatever, Embiid or OG or Siakam or whatever. To me, that means we have to basically trade Anthony on top of our future picks and all that stuff. So we're losing part of our core to do that along with trading our future. Whereas if we got a lottery pick, that pick could either help us, being a good player, or, like I said, if they have, a $7 or $8 million salary, that helps us facilitate trades next year with that player making money. So I don't know. I can see it both ways, but in my mind, I still think the best possible route is to get the best pick possible in this draft, either whether you want to trade it or keep it, get the Knicks pick, and go from there and try to just do whatever the best you can with those options.
Yeah, we'll have a ton of time to talk hypotheticals. It's kind of like going into last offseason where we had so much time to talk about hypotheticals. What if the pick ends up here? What if the pick ends up here? But we don't even know, we still might make the playoffs. I still can't rule that out at this point. So, but these post-game shows, games like tonight where Dame and Grant and everybody's out, and it's basically a schedule loss. Mm-hmm. I mean, we're not going to sit here talking about tonight's game if we lose by 15 because we're going against the Kings and don't have anyone. Yeah. We're not going to sit there talking about the game for an hour and a half. We'll talk more about hypotheticals for the offseason. We'll have a ton of time to do that.
Hopefully, we're talking about an awesome Sharp performance or something. Something to talk about from the game.
Absolutely. That would be awesome. But because there's a comment in chat which I'd love to expand on. We just don't have the time for. But Grape Ape says wherever OKC and Utah and Indiana land, you have to watch for them using that pick plus 2 to 3 firsts this year. Indiana and Utah next year. OKC has an abundance of firsts. To move up. So if Portland ends up, with the 6th, 7th, 8th pick or whatever, and you got OKC who was in the play-in and they want to move up, okay, well, what picks can you get from them? And then maybe you start having a conversation again about, okay, well, if you're able to trade down for 12 and, 18 or whatever, is 12 and 18...
Yeah.
Or 12 and 20, because we also have the 20th picks. What combination of picks is worth it for Portland to maybe make a play on OG Anunoby if he's still available, or whatever trade target becomes available? Then you start having those conversations. Because we had those conversations last year, trading down from 7 to 12 and something else and getting a player out of it, or flipping one of the picks we traded down for Jeremy Grant and keeping the other. All those hypotheticals are going to be possibilities if the Blazers don't make the playoffs. So with these post-game shows, we're going to see what direction this team is going, obviously, and then we can maybe have more of an idea of what hypotheticals are possible, and we will discuss those hypotheticals on post-game shows as we progress towards figuring out where this team's headed.
It's also way too early to know this, especially without knowing what teams are going to be where, but say we did get the 2nd pick or whatever, and it didn't make sense to trade Scoot, but there's the Raptors sitting there at 7 or something. We could, in theory, match salary for OG without giving up one of those core guys I was mentioning, and just barely, but we could. And then from there, you basically try to get OG and 7 for 2 or something. Maybe you ask for another future first or something in that trade. You pull a Raptors back to them. But those kind of deals would be on the table where you could not only get still a lottery pick, but you could get, a win now player like OG. You might have to give up a potential star in Scoot to do that. But I mean, Scoot doesn't make a ton of sense for the Blazers. So there are scenarios that could come up like that, which would be really, really cool to talk about.
Absolutely, and let me just preface this with there's still a very legitimate chance that Jody Allen just ends up being cheap, and Joe Cronin ends up trading for... I mean, Kevin Knox is always the name I would toss out there. He's just the most mediocre player in the league, but he already traded for him, so I need to find a new name. But there's always a chance that Joe Cronin trades for a couple mediocre guys and has a mediocre free agent signing and tries to pitch it as part of some master plan, and half the fan base buys it when it's just Jody Allen being cheap. That is certainly possible, but that is not fun to talk about. And it's fun to talk about potential hypotheticals. And at some point, maybe Jody Allen says, you know what, I care about my image as an owner. And at some point, she's going to sell the team. If you have a contending team, you should be able to sell it for a good price point. I don't think the price point would necessarily be lower. Maybe it's a little bit higher, and she can recoup the money she's spending for a contending team through the sale because you have a team in a better spot than they are now, which is not good, So it's always possible. That's how a lot of things end up with hypotheticals, and then we get mad because Jody's cheap and Cronin tries to pitch crap as gold. But until we get to that point, we're going to talk hypotheticals and positivity and, talk about the implications of that cap-wise and tax-wise.
Absolutely. And the most realistic thing is just draft 2 players and keep them and hope they're good enough, because that would keep us under the tax, even with signing Jeremy. Maybe you get one of Matisse or Cam for cheap and you still stay under the tax. It'd be really close, but I mean, they're definitely looking like that's what they're going to do at this point.
Eric, imagine we get the number 1 overall pick.
We have to trade it because we don't.
And then we trade it to OKC for like 7 firsts and give them Wemby because we don't want to. We don't want to go into the tax to pay Wemby. If you want to see a meltdown of epic proportions where that wall behind me ends up with a hole in it, then that would be the scenario where that would happen, because that would be disgusting. But oh man,
like Jody's pissed we moved up to number 1 because we were like 10 and like we're all celebrating, but like she was like, oh yes, the 10th pick is only $4 million with the first pick.
Oh man, that would be. So we're pitching all these positive hypotheticals. We had to pitch a negative one for you guys to keep things realistic here.
I got a negative one for you.
Okay, and then we'll do Tankathon and then we'll head out.
It's kind of the reverse of last year, but there is still a scenario where we end up with no first round picks because we make the playoffs and the Knicks don't. And the Knicks, just like the Pelicans last year, we'll still end up with a pick around that range where they traded a pick to us because they have Dallas's pick and we didn't do any sort of protections on that. We just went to second round picks for that. So,
but at least that's dependent on like, oh, Josh Hart didn't pan out for us, so we're not giving up a first because he didn't help us make the playoffs. So it's like, they give up more value if what we traded them helps them, whereas the Pelicans pick, it was obviously the opposite last year, where if CJ helps them make the playoffs, then we get less.
But like this year, the Knicks are in 6th right now, so they just fall down 1 spot, and all of a sudden we have to root for them to win. Unlike last year, we were rooting for them to lose. But that is a scenario where they could lose and still end up with like the 20th pick because they have Dallas's pick.
If they have 2 playing games at Madison Square Garden, they better not. Is the 7th seed. They better not lose
Knicks
both
like
of
a
them.
1-game scenario.
Not really, man. Julius Randle 4 for 19. This season could end up with me hating Julius Randle
or like
more than any other player that's never played for the Blazers. Because obviously GP2 has that crown right now.
It's such a slippery slope though, because if they fell to the play-in but made the playoffs, the pick would be better. It would be in the teens. Whereas if they move up a spot or 2, we'd for sure get the pick, but it would be 22 it is right now. So like I'd almost rather just take the 22nd pick than have to worry about like getting the 17th pick or whatever. Absolutely. I just hope they finish in the 6th seed. That would be perfect. I'll take the 22nd pick.
Yep. If the Blazers get the 1 pick to cover for lost costs, Tyler James says Corey Jez takes over the broadcast remotely if we get the first pick to make up for that money lost. Well, maybe we get hired to run the stream remotely, and I'm sitting here on Streamlabs like switching to different ads and different scenes, and I'm doing all the graphics, and they save money that way. Maybe we get hired if we get the number 1 pick. Yeah. Jody, if you want to save that money, we're right here. We can draft Wemby, I promise. What a statement. Anyway, Tankathon is here. Oh, that's YouTube. That's Tankathon.
Trevin wants to play with fire. He wants number 15.
This is what it looks like right now. Let's simulate the lottery and scroll up. Okay, this was the way to do it. All right. So, Portland would have the 22nd pick. 14 is Golden State. 13 is OKC. 12 is Utah. 11 is Washington. Moment of truth. 10 is Portland. Lame. Indiana. First pick, Wemby goes to Chicago. Which would be interesting.
Yeah.
Simulate it one more time. Nope. Wemby would be interesting in Orlando. I mean, Wemby's interesting anywhere, but, Chicago having some good players and talent, and then Orlando having a bunch of big skilled guys would be interesting. Anyway, Chicago again. Just give me Portland top 4. Just do it. Just do it. Just do it. Just once. What are these ads? Why are they over the Tankathon, fix your stream, all right? Fix your, not your stream, your website. Dude, we cannot get a top 4 pick. This is rigged against us.
We used all our magic on the...
I know, that first one. Now it's just screwed. There we go, we got the 3rd pick.
Okay.
What a buzzkill that would be. We don't end up at 4. We're in the final 3, and then we get 3.
Yeah, but...
It would be great.
Yeah.
It would be great, obviously, to move up, but imagine being the final 3 for Wemby.
Mm-hmm.
And then not getting number 1. Oh, that would be so... That would be the most nervous I'd be on stream ever. Staring Wemby in the face.
I mean, Amen's an athletic forward who can get to the basket but can't shoot, so...
I mean, yeah, but you're looking at, like,
Raptors...
literally the... Eric could literally be looking at the savior for our franchise. The savior. And then we end up with 3. Oh, man. It would be something where even when we have nice things, it still sucks. Because, of course.
I don't think it would suck, but yeah.
I mean, in totality, it'd be great, but in the end, you know, being that close.
I mean, if you could tell me right now it's 3rd pick or... Like, you have to take the 3rd pick or take your chances with anything else, I would take the 3rd pick.
Oh, of course. But if you're telling me, if you're in the final 3 on the lottery sim and you're staring Wembanyama in the face and then you don't get him, you telling me you wouldn't be devastated?
Oh, I mean, it would be disappointing, but...
I'd be devastated.
I would be stoked that we even moved up, but yeah.
I mean, I'd be stoked. I'd be stoked until it came time for the final 3, and then I'd be devastated. Anyway, we'll catch you guys tonight on the postgame show after the Blazers take on the Kings. We'll see how the snow tank goes.
Go shooting for 35 minutes tonight.
Yep. Hopefully you guys take care. Especially if it's snowy. It's snowing all over the country, so drive safe no matter where you're at. And stay safe and stay warm. We'll catch you later tonight. This has been Blazers Uprise Live, presented by betonline.ag. We're out of here. Until next time, as always, peace out. Go Blazers.